Welcome back, everybody, to the Arizona Cardinals Madden 19 Rebuild Series. It is time to begin a new offseason here in the year 2028. This might actually be the 2029 season upcoming, but we are set to begin, and we have a big goal in mind to get this team back to the Super Bowl, and we've made it to the playoffs now 3 straight seasons. We've won the NFC West, we're the new leaders of this division, but it's only resulted in a grand total of 2 playoff victories, and we've got to go further. So how do we get there? Well, we could go after an impact corner, an impact linebacker, or maybe an impact wide receiver. What would adding a star next to Walker Onobon and Bradley Young do to this offense? It would probably be really fun to find out, but we'll have to see exactly what I can make happen this offseason. We do have a couple extra picks this year. I usually like to make sure we have about 9 picks going into every season, and then that gives me flexibility for trading. And we have 2 second-round picks, including one right in the middle of the second round, and an additional third-round pick. And I'm not against trading away a future one if it means we can get an impact player. I think when you're in a position like our team, trading away that future one, which is usually going to be in the 20s or hopefully the 30s, is not a bad idea at all. The first order of business is taking care of our free agents, and I don't usually negotiate long-term contracts with these mid-70s players unless they're offensive linemen, because a mid-70s player is a good backup and you're bound to have at least one offensive line injury at some point. Tank Keltner, I do like him, but I think I'll come back to him in the offseason. I wouldn't be against bringing back any of these players, but we'll have to see what's available in free agency. I do not plan to re-sign Budda Baker. I think he'll end up retiring the same way that we saw a couple players disappear from free agency last year. His ratings are just not really playable any longer with the zone coverage and tackling being this low. Cairo Santos still has not retired. I have scouted kickers in this upcoming class. I'm not signing Santos quite yet. I want to leave as much cap space as possible for the actual open free agent period. Denard Huval, not a bad player, but not a starting caliber player any longer. I do plan to address cornerback pretty early this offseason, or at least it's one of my top 3 positions, which is linebacker, corner, and then maybe receiver, because we know there's a special option in the draft. We'll of course get to that. Dion Richard will let him go for about 5 a year. Spencer Barnes, not a bad player to have as a backup. I'll actually give him this deal. This corner depth is pretty important, so we go a step above here, the fair offer, and he'll test instead. We're letting a lot of these players test. I like seeing what's available in free agency, and we can always come back to some of these players. Mason McConnell, the punter, 31 years old. He's punted a lot of years for us. Will he punt one more? It looks like it. Most of these free agents are right in that regression range too, so it's pretty easy to just let a lot of these players go. Oscar Dudley, 74 overall, not bad. I'll have to look at tight end this year. Kitchens obviously made that position way different. Devontae Steed is still just 25 years old. I wonder if we could bring him back. Probably on the open market we could. And then one of the most impactful signings we've ever made, Jalen Smith, might be the end of his career today as well. He's only a 65 overall, but here is what he was able to put on the field here in his career. Obviously, the first couple years are going to be with Dallas. I forget when we actually signed him, probably this year. I think I remember a 3-interception season toward the beginning, but Jalen was awesome. Lots of production, led the team in tackles a lot, gave us sack production, interceptions, probably some forced fumbles in there. Yep, pretty much good for 1 a season. He was one of the true stars of this series. I love seeing players kind of exceed expectations in these big ways. So we end up not really signing anybody. We're going to move on. So the roster is down to 46 players at the moment, and our core is still pretty much intact. I feel good about the team. Why don't we take a look now at the open market Is there an impact player for us to sign this season? It looks like there's a good center, Yannick Ngakoue. A lot of veterans. And then it gets to Kevin Gonzalez, and he's one of the better young players on the market. So 13 bids, led by the Rams. Looks like at corner there are some options if we just want somebody on a short-term deal. And at linebacker, now Sutton has become available. I'm not going to be going after him now because he's 27 years old and this class is super deep at the position. I made a one-year offer to Marcus Mariota as the potential backup quarterback of our team next year. Okay, Shakir Cosby fits our scheme, and when I say he fits our scheme, I'm talking 96 zone coverage. While I could address corner in the draft, I've got to give an offer here to Cosby. This is not going to be a huge deal. It's only going to be a 2-year contract, probably less than $20 million. I just have to overcome some pretty good bids, and that would do it right there. I can drop it a little bit. I knew he wouldn't accept this earlier, so what my plan is to give Cairo Santos an offer, but with nothing guaranteed. So if I end up drafting a rookie, which there's a very good chance I do, I can cut Santos and not be on the hook for any dead money. Oh yeah, there is a kicker on our depth chart, isn't there? I drafted a kicker, and I think I just kept 2 kickers on the roster because I could. So how good is our second kicker, or now our only kicker? Russell Harris, 71 overall, and decent. I think that I like the player in the draft a lot better, though. On to stage 2, Mariota and Cosby both accept the offers. So we have a new backup quarterback here in Arizona, Marcus Mariota, and then our cornerback group gets stronger as Watts Mathis can likely play the slot this year. Shakir Cosby and Aaron Howell give us 2 dominant zone defenders on the outside. Man coverage is not the strength of Cosby, so hopefully we do stick to our scheme. But we have a couple potential playmakers now. I like this. Yeah, it looked like our defense was running out of depth. We only have 3 defensive ends, 2 defensive tackles. We have 4 linebackers, 5 corners, and 4 safeties. So let's go find some front 7 depth. We will start by offering a 1-year deal to Ellis Madden, a run-stopping defensive tackle. Power rusher Joseph Chambers has 87 power move. I wouldn't mind giving him a 3-year contract, actually, take him all the way to age 29, and that'll be about $3 million a season. Tyler Lopez could be a good speed rusher, has some block shed ability there, just have to move him to defensive end. Let's give him a couple of years on a deal here. And Lopez accepts the deal, so does Santos and Chambers. So now we're at about 51 players on the roster, with probably a lot of draft picks to make. We'll see if I'm able to trade up. I'd love to trade up this year, but I say that every year. Here were some of the top signings, by the way. Blaine Rocca to the Philadelphia Eagles on a 4-year or 5-year, $40 million contract. Yannick Ngakoue gets a little over 10 a season. Lattimore stays in New Orleans. Mahomes will stay in Kansas City for 1 more season. Everett McKay, a 3-year deal. But overall, this was not a high-impact free agent class, and actually worse than a couple that we've had in recent seasons. So I know that everybody's favorite player in this class, and mine included, is Kashim Verdon, who could be the next dominant wide receiver in our league. He's 6'5", 229 pounds. Here's the combine on him. 4.46 should give him high 80s, low 90s speed. Definitely good. Top vertical leap in this class at receiver, good broad jump, and the agility scores would actually be pretty good for a 6'5", 229 pound receiver. And he's strong, he's a dominant route runner, amazing hands. This top 3 is so rare. This is something I may never see again in Madden 19, and yeah, it would be fun to get him on this team. However, there's another good wide receiver in this class, should we not be able to trade up for Verdon. OJ Straight. He's 6'4", 239. He is actually faster with 4.42 speed. He has a good vertical leap. He's not as dominant of a prospect though, but he is 21. I think both would be really good, but obviously Verdon stands as the number 1 player perhaps in this class, but he's actually ranked number 8. We can't come out of this draft though without a linebacker, and looking at the combines, I'm seeing one player stand out, and of course it's the top guy, Ahmad Burns, 21-year-old. He dominated the combine. Very fast, fluid, great athlete, awesome agility scores. He can cover. He is the 3-down linebacker we've been looking for since Jalen Smith's prime ended, and it's hard to come away with getting this top linebacker, but also keeping in mind Kashim Verdon. So what's the plan if we do not trade up to take Burns? Paul Bradford is also fast and good in coverage. He just might not be as good all around of a player as Burns is. However, I still think that he has the 3-down skills. It looks like his combine score is brought down by his broad jump and bench press, which I'm not too concerned with, so he'd be a fine option. Griffin Rump from FIU. The speed is good, and he can cover both in zone and man, and has high pursuit, so he wouldn't be a bad option. But then we saw our lack of linebacker depth on the team. It wouldn't be bad to come away with at least one more, perhaps. How about Dre Henry? Not as fast, didn't have a great combine, but the skills are certainly there. Malcolm Kirby, 4.64 is fast enough, and the top 3 is a good set of skills, and he's only 21. He'd be maybe a 5th-round player to take. And then Christian Newman, 5.8 combine. The speed isn't spectacular, and the top 3 is a good place to start, but not somebody who's going to be a starting caliber player for a couple of seasons at least. Oh wow, an 8.0 at corner? 8.0 for Timmy Ives. Yeah, dominated this combine. 4.4 speed, 40-inch vertical leap, 25 bench reps. This is a pretty awesome class as far as top-end talent goes. I can't wait to see the league get these players. Here's a 7.0 later on, Frank McFadden, 4.34. That's what I'm talking about. 22-year-old. He's definitely high on the board. I also scouted some of these quarterbacks because they just fall. And if we can find a great second option to maybe be a trade piece in the future, I'm all for that. So we'll see if someone falls and if we're in a position to take one. But we can't draft everything. Contract accepted by Dawson Jordan. That was not a very good offer I gave, but Jordan is back now as one of our tight ends. So we don't need to address that anymore in the offseason. We now have a 52-man roster, but it looks to be very offensive heavy. So we still need some more defenders to build up depth in this class. And now one more chance to scout. All right, we have a lot of players on the draft board this year, but definitely looking at those toward the top. Ahmad Burns, let's put him right up at the top of the board alongside Timmy Ives. And also the wide receiver, Kashim Verdon from Michigan State. Whoever gets him is getting perhaps the next great wide receiver in this series, and I really can't wait to see his ratings. But ultimately, we're a team with few needs, and I would like to work our way up the board this season. I love these 3 players, and there are other good options as well. But I think when you're in our situation, you do what it takes to go get a true difference maker to put you over the edge. This offseason is really not taking a lot of time, too. It might be my fastest one I've ever recorded, especially if I can trade up and actually have less picks than I normally do. So here we go, everybody. The NFL draft is set to begin. You know what we need to do. Get impact in the first round one way or another. Or maybe, just maybe, 2 ways. But let's see. Let's start the NFL draft, see who's on the clock, see what their needs are, and take a look, because we are at pick 26. And to make a true impact, we're going to have to work way up the board. Miami's top needs are at offensive line and linebacker. They pick number 1. The Broncos select at number 2, needing linebacker, defensive end, and safety. I know the Packers and Seahawks are the next teams. Packers need linebacker help and offensive line. And Seattle needs offensive line and linebacker. A lot of linebacker needs, so we'll have to see how this goes. I'm not counting on trading up to like number 1, so let's sim the first couple picks of the day. And off the board first is linebacker Douglas Walton from Pitt, going to the Dolphins. And Kashim Verdon is the next off the board, 84 overall wide receiver to the Denver Broncos. I was never really counting on trading up this high with how difficult that would be. I think it would have been possible if I were to trade a lot to get into the teens and then a lot more to get up here, but that would be giving away probably way too much. I wanted Verdon, but for it to be realistic, he had to fall out of the top 5 or so, and they didn't have a need at wide receiver. It didn't say. They took the value, and now they get the special talent, Kashim Verdon. Shedrick Easton goes to the Seattle Seahawks, an 82 overall end. And then Green Bay, I want to see what it would cost to trade up to this spot. Yeah, it's very difficult to trade up here. This is our future first round pick and one of our seconds. Even if I gave them the higher second, it wouldn't move the bar far enough. We have to start including players or do combo trades here, trading up to 1 pick and then packaging up more picks to move up. The Packers have that top need, though, that worries me. That's the big issue here. But they take a safety, Griffin Price, and so far, the top 4 picks have been really, really good. That's close. We might be able to trade up to the top 5. I don't know if this is going to do enough, though. This is a better second-round pick. Wow, that's so close. They go left outside linebacker, though, Nolan Leach. Now the Steelers are on the clock. They are also a team that needs a middle linebacker, and I'm just not going to take chances this time. I can't miss on this opportunity. We'll see if this deal goes through, but I think the better second round pick would get it done. Or this will do. This is one of the most aggressive trade-ups I've ever done. We give up our 1 next year. When is the last time? Has there ever been a time where I have traded up to the point where we enter a draft next year with no first round pick? I'm not sure I've ever done that in the Browns series or in this series. But I knew this year I wanted to get up the board, and I've watched many times as players I thought would be there a handful of picks later were not. But now I have my chance to get the player that I want. Ahmad Burns, middle linebacker from Oklahoma. He is our selection. And Burns is an 80 overall with star development on day 1. And take a look at this. 15 in true talent. That means there are at least 15 80 overall or higher players in this class. There is more value out there still. 87 speed, 84 zone coverage. He is the total package at linebacker. He's not injury prone. There are no weaknesses here that I'm worried about. This is awesome. So Ahmad Burns is the newest member of the Arizona Cardinals. And I know that we missed out on Verdon, but it was never realistic to get him in the first place while also getting someone like Ahmad Burns. Now, if I wanted to get up to get Verdon, it would have taken either a combo trade or giving up a player. Maybe if it was a 1, the future 1, and Walker Onobun, it would have been possible. But we still have that mid-second round pick now. I didn't have to give up my best 1 as the Bears take a very good tackle from Alabama. This is a pretty good class, though. This is the kind of class you trade up in. Timmy Ives goes to the Panthers. I do want to see his ratings. Todd Dobson to the San Francisco 49ers. Perry McMillan, some good offensive linemen in this class, and a lot of good linebackers. There goes Paul Bradford. So you know that there's just no way Burns would have been available at this point, and he's a mid-first round prospect. Players do not go where they're projected. OJ Straight's a 75. You're not actually helped out very much by the projection in a lot of cases. It kind of deceives you into thinking that you can wait on a player who goes a step or two before you even thought about trading up. So now we're seeing less of the high overalls go off the board. And there goes a good running back to Cincinnati. I'm glad we came out of this draft, though, already with a great difference maker at linebacker. That's what we needed this year. It was the #1 goal. Verdon was going to be in a very special situation. And if we had traded up for Verdon, I still would have been packaging up picks to move up for Burns, but I'm not sure it would have worked. So we still have our mid-second round pick, 2/3, and then our slate of 4 through 7 to go through. As I look at options, though, on the board, I am kind of leaning toward a trade down with our second round pick, and maybe we can recoup some future trade value for next year. Even if it's like a future 2, if we have 2 second round picks next year, we can always work on getting back into the first round. There are some good running backs, but I'm not going to be very aggressive in going after them, especially with the way Jason Lemon's been playing. So DeAndre Carter, I was interested in him. Good player going to Oakland. And we're almost to our selection. And the plan is to trade out of this spot. Oh, Sanchez Caldwell. He was on my board. 78 overall. Not bad. All right, what offers do we have? Yeah, these offers weren't great, but the one from Cleveland gives us a second round pick next year and an additional 3rd this year. That's an easy trade right there to take. So now 3 third round picks this year. Maybe we can find some good value. Whoa, an 80 overall left tackle in the 2nd round, Eric Godfrey. There you go, Minnesota. I know they took like a 71 overall corner in the 1st, so that helps. DeJuan Clement. Yeah, he was a good player. I think he was a 3rd round prospect off the board there, so won't be somebody we can take with our set of 3rd round selections, but I think there's enough value in this class for us once we get to our pick. Wow, a good stretch of players though going off the board here, and the quarterbacks are starting to go. Wouldn't be a bad idea for us to take one, but we just watched 4 go. A really big run on quarterbacks right there. I'm just taking the value here with this first 3rd round pick. We're going to select guard Cameron Losman. He's just, I think, one of the best talents out there right now. 23 years old and has the top bench press here at the position. I want to build up that offensive line depth a little bit more. It is a reach, but for a 73 overall player, he is 23 years old, but he's a strong offensive lineman with a pretty good foundation here with a skill set. Oh, wow, Chris Hernandez off the board. He was a 2nd round quarterback prospect who was actually a 5th round talent. And I thought maybe with my my last 3rd round pick I'd take him, but he's off the board. 71 overall. I just thought that he had a chance to develop a little bit. But now, 2 3rd round picks to make here, pretty close together. I'm going to be doing some overdrafting here, but it's the only way to get these players that I really like. So what we'll do first is take Craig Starks, a 5th round prospect at safety with good cover skills, and he's a good tackler. Gotta find depth players like him. 76 overall, 47 in true talent. That's better. 88 speed, 80 zone coverage. That's quality depth. Still seeing some really good players go off the board here. This is a strong class. And now last pick of the 3rd round. There are a lot of things here I could address. Backup linebacker. There are a couple receivers that I think are still interesting. And a corner or 2, Frank McFadden being my favorite. He's a 6th round talent, early 6. And our next pick, I believe, is late 4. I was hoping to trade down into the 4th round and pick up maybe another 5th or something for the future, but these are all just 1-for-1 swaps. I'm not a fan. I'm going for some upside here. Tyree Stevenson is a good pass rusher, and he's only 21 years old. The combine grade is all right. Really good 3-cone. A lot of that stuff is average. And Stevenson is a good pick. 76 overall, normal development. And of course, only 21 years of age. Now got to make it to late in the 4th round for my next selection. And there are still good players. There goes Dex Benson. He was more of a man cover corner. Otherwise, I would have probably taken him already. Gotta go for those scheme fits, of course, or players who are close to being scheme fits. 7 picks away. James Mendoza, Roy Cole. Good left tackle still. This is a good line class. And the Chargers don't take who I wanted. Thank you. Good spacing here for our next few picks. We have one in the middle of the 5th round to help us out. I can't let Frank McFadden stay available. He's 22 years old. He's a man cover corner, but his zone is pretty high as well. So I think that he'll become a scheme fit pretty easily. His C- press isn't great for a 3rd skill, but at cornerback, you're not looking for a lot of different ratings. You need coverage and press. You'd like that, and maybe a little awareness as well. So McFadden's going to be our pick, 75 overall. Finding some good value here later on, 93 speed. We can work on making him a scheme fit before too long, I'm sure. And it's only a couple away. Hopefully the players I want are still available. That was a little early to be taking a 6th round prospect, but you never know what's going to happen here. So far, so good. There is still a wide receiver on the board that I'm interested in. And I think, oh, Malcolm Kirby's off the board. I was thinking about him here in the 5th round with one of these selections as another coverage linebacker, but we might be deep enough there when you include Moses Humphrey. Only 7 players left on the board, and this time I'm selecting Reggie McCleskey. He is a tall receiver with 4.49 speed. He's strong. He has pretty good hands. He wouldn't be bad as a 5th or 6th receiver to start out. And he's a 68 overall. That's a reach. So not a great pick here. The route running definitely needs a lot of work. All right. I thought it'd be a little bit better. But thankfully we pick in just a handful of selections to hopefully make a better pick. And these players going off the board were not on my list anyway. Only 5 players left. There is a running back here, Jamarcus Mann, 4.5 40. The combine isn't bad, but it's not stellar. And the top 3, carrying, juke, and vision are important, but he's 24. He would need a lot of development still, and I don't think he'd be better than Dre Riddle. So that kind of leaves us with another player here that I could take, but I think I'll look at trade down options here in the 5th round. I don't think that if I wait till the 6th, I'll lose out on the kicker. Awesome, I'll take that 4th round pick in the future. Who do I want it from? I'll take it from the Rams, a division rivals selection. Sometimes division foes will trade in the draft, usually not very early though. Rams trade up and they take Jamarcus Mann, so I basically said he wasn't good enough for our roster, but we might see him now regardless. Alright, a fullback's off the board. Now I'm wondering if the kicker might go. This is going to be a tough stretch to get to pick 26. Another fullback's off the board. We're getting closer and closer to a potential kicker pick. Alright, less than 10 picks to go. We're almost there. Don't take the kicker. Don't take the kicker. I have very high hopes. And we're almost there. We're almost there. We made it. 6th round. We are drafting a kicker, Ryan Schroeder. Only D awareness. A lot of these kickers have F awareness, but he has a strong leg, and he's just a great kicker prospect. How can we pass? Schroeder, 80 overall rookie kicker. Let's go, number 8 in true talent. Only in the 6th round, too. He has 74 speed, 96 kick power, 91 accuracy. This could be our kicker for the rest of the series. What do you think about that, everybody? We have just one selection left to make here in the 7th round. We could follow it up with a punter. That'd be something. Well, we might as well. Evan Mann is the pick, a 73 overall punter. We might go rookie in special teams moving forward and have them on nice 4-year contracts. The draft is complete, everybody, and what a draft it was. We selected 2 specialists. We gave up a future 1st round pick to move up in the 1st round to take a linebacker, which I'm very happy with that decision. I'm not too worried about missing our pick next year, especially having an additional 2nd round pick now. So here is the draft recap. We end up going with Ahmad Burns. Then don't pick until the 3rd round and take Cameron Losman, a backup guard. And then Craig Starks, Tyree Stevenson, Frank McFadden, Reggie McCleskey, and then a new kicker and punter. So we get some good defensive depth overall, a nice safety, linebacker, and corner trio right here. And this was mostly supposed to be a defensive draft given the way our roster was set up. But obviously we missed out on maybe the most special talent in the class, Kashim Verdon. Verdon is an 84 overall with star development. He's only 21. Now his speed is not going to wow you. It's 89, but if it's 92, we'd be really excited, I think, about that. 99 medium route running, 90 spec catch. We'll have to see if Denver's on the schedule this year, and if we are, it's an automatic watch. I feel like we're a couple years away, though. I forget, we played Rosen and the Chargers a couple seasons back, and we might be a year away from seeing Denver on the schedule again. How about this draft, though, for the Broncos? They take an 84 overall receiver. They take a good running back, a good defensive end, and then a quarterback in the 3rd, Nate Luck. Superstar! All right, Denver, you're going to be a problem in the future for sure. They weren't done taking good players, by the way. Good draft. All right, so the other top players to come out of this class. Denver got 2 of the top 3, by the way. The Seahawks got the 2nd best player. Shedrick Easton, a 6'7", 285-pound defensive end who can play inside, he can run stop, he can rush the passer. This is a very Seahawk pick right here. This is their kind of defensive lineman, versatile, big, explosive athlete. We saw a lot of good offensive linemen as well. One went to the rival 49ers, Todd Dobson, really good ratings here across the board. Perry McMillan to the Colts. Here's the top tight end, Jeremy Hogden, superstar development, 89 speed. Oh my, we don't see many tight ends come out of Madden drafts like this. The number 1 player was Douglas Walton, a star development player to the Dolphins, and he can rush the passer with finesse moves. He has great speed, and he'll be able to play the run as well. Good pick here for the Ravens, Brian Swanson. Just a really strong overall draft class. It's fun to have these ones where a lot of difference makers come out and they can become top tier talents before too long. A superstar safety here to the Packers, Griffin Price. Don't forget about Ryan Schroeder, the 80 overall kicker. That's why I take a look. You never know what's going to be in these drafts. The Vikings, they take a really good tackle in the 2nd round. And that's a really nice find. Superstar running back here to the Bengals, Trey Richard or Richard. It could go either way there. Let's go Richard. Trey Richard here to Cincinnati. Really good speed. Got a blend here of elusiveness and strength, but mostly going to be, this looks like a Jason Lemon-like skill set here on day 1. Banks Blair went in the 3rd round. At the end of the 3rd round, too, to the Packers. Quick dev, 21-year-old. He is primarily a run stopper, but don't discount his coverage skills. They're good as well, but he's one of the more injury-prone players I've seen in this class, 84, which I'm not sure is really that low. Some good players here going to the Rams, too. They take Barry Gilkey, a star dev tight end. Lots of good development, although his skill set isn't that great. Surprised he's a 78 overall. And Trevon Jones, normal development player, but a good pass rusher on day 1. That's fine. I thought about taking Trey Robbins with my first 3rd round pick, but I felt like it just wasn't the right time to take quarterback there, and the right talent wasn't there, and Robbins' accuracies aren't great. I'm glad I passed on this skill set. The fastest player to come out of this class was Rashad Bunkley, a receiver who was on my board. I thought about taking him in the 3rd round, but I just didn't feel like his skill set really set him apart from our current wide receivers enough. If he were a better route runner, I probably would have taken him, but he's got a good skill set for being a deep threat. Timmy Ives, by the way, quick dev to the Panthers. Awesome cornerback prospect, but the coverage certainly needs a lot of work, but I think he'll get there. Kasheem Verdon by far had the best hands in the class, 95 compared to 86 for the second best player. For catching traffic, Deron Paul, a tight end who went to San Francisco. We're going to see some good talents, it looks like, although he's not overall a great receiving tight end. Kasheem Verdon, definitely the best spec catch player in this class. Short route running, 89 to Brian Tooman and DeAndre Carter. Carter was on my board. I thought about taking him, and instead he'll be a good underneath option here for Oakland. Nobody in the same tier as Verdon when it comes to those medium route running skills and deep route running. A couple 80s here. Verdon's the best there as well. What does he have, the best release? Yeah, it's not close. How about best jumping? Timmy Ives and then Verdon. Oh, Seattle took a good quarterback. I didn't notice that. Malcolm Schmidt, superstar quarterback. I feel like our division got a lot better today. All 4 teams. So this is perhaps the replacement for Russell Wilson soon. Douglas Walton was the best finesse rusher in this class. He went number 1 overall. Nolan Leach, though, had the best pass rush move of anybody. He went a little bit later to Detroit. So overall, a really good class, a really fun one. This was a really enjoyable draft. Best zone coverage, by the way, went to a linebacker, Paul Bradford, who was the second linebacker taken in the class. Inside linebacker anyway. And wow, his skill set's great. So we had options outside of just the one I valued. Very happy, though, to come away with Burns in this class. And then Frank McFadden, one of the best man cover skills, and we took him very late in the draft. Just wondering, who had the best kick accuracy in this class? Oh, our punter. And then our kicker. Yeah, they're the best. So I think the main concern coming away from this offseason is that the offense didn't really get better. They more or less stayed the same, which they're a good offense, but it's fun to throw in a player that can perhaps take you a step forward. But maybe that player was already on the roster. Ollie Kitchens here, 6'2", 236. This year might be his chance to be the breakout player and truly change the game here at the position. I also look to change up the playbook a little bit and add in some more deep passing to a couple different situations, and maybe that'll make a big difference. But defensively, adding Ahmad Burns, adding Shakir Cosby, and the depth we added around some of these great talents makes me think the defense is in for a big season, and I can't wait to see the impacts brought by the rookie 21-year-old Ahmad Burns. So with that, everybody, the offseason has come to an end. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you with more Arizona Cardinals franchise in the 2029 season coming up next time. Have a great day, everybody. See you soon.